Could Brock Hoffman throw a wrench into the plans of third-round rookie Cooper Beebe? OTAs kick off on Tuesday, and tonight we will dive into that and three more questions about the offensive line. Let's get to it. Here we go. What is up, everyone, and welcome into A to Z Sports Dallas Primetime, streaming with you live every Sunday and Thursday night, and catching up with you guys in between with these quick, short videos. Let's get to it, man. OTAs kick off on Tuesday, and as I said, offensive line to me is the position to watch. I've got so many questions about how things will play out in that area, and I believe OTAs will provide us with a preliminary answer. And here's what I mean by that. It's not going to be definitive, all right? These are voluntary workouts where there is no live contact permitted. But where the answers lie are in both answers from players and coaches when they are being interviewed. And additionally, during the few practices that media can access and see what the players are doing, some hints about, okay, who is lining up with the first team, who is lining up with the second team, how evenly distributed are the snaps at each of the positions. So this is where we will get some answers, but just a quick disclaimer, they're not going to be definitive, right? Like, we could see the Cowboys do 1,000 things on OTAs only to change it up deeper into the offseason, and especially at offensive line where Mike McCarthy has been pretty outspoken about the fact that he wants his offensive linemen doing a little bit of everything. So in case they need to call upon them to switch to guard or switch to tackle or play a little bit of center, then they're ready to go. That's what Mike McCarthy wants. But still, let's get started here. My biggest question leading up to these OTAs is all about Brock Hoffman. Can Brock Hoffman really alter the plans of the Cowboys at center? Because you know what I've said here on the show. I believe, based on what Cooper Beebe has said, how the coaches have talked about him, how quickly they were to reach out to him and be like, hey, you are playing center, so just focus on getting that down before we get to Dallas. That to me speaks about the fact that, hey, Cooper Beebe is plan A and he's plan B for the Cowboys. I would be very surprised if we get to week one and he is not one of your 5 starting offensive linemen. And I've talked about this as well. Like, this is not a guy that you are hoping to develop into a completely different player. This is a high floor rookie that we're talking about. He was picked because he has plug and play potential instead of being a project like Tyler Guyton is, who was drafted in the first round. So Cooper Beebe is relatively ready to go. He needs to learn how to play center, of course, but he's got the tools to start on an NFL game day right away. So my big question here is mostly, can Brock Hoffman put up a fight? Hoffman held his own when the Cowboys called his name when Tyler Viadish went down in 2023. How much weight does that hold? And how much do things change as the offseason goes on? And here's what I mean. Number one thing that I'm looking at is who is getting the first team reps. Are they distributed between these two guys? Are they all going to Beebe in an attempt to speed up his process? Or do we get surprised by Hoffman being the first team guy, at least at first, and Beebe working with the second team? I want to find out all about the center rotation. That is my big thing here. And I believe that if we see a change, like Beebe getting those first team reps, and then we get to minicamp or training camp, and then those roles switch, they change a little bit, that would be intriguing. Like, that would be something about, hey, Brock is putting up a fight, and he might be changing the plans on offensive line. Now, again, this is purely speculation on my end, but I want to see how the center battle plays out. Question number 2 that I have about this offensive line, though, moving on a little bit here, Tyler Guyton is also projected to be the starting left tackle of the Cowboys. I really want to find out who else, though, is getting left tackle reps. Now, Tyler Smith, I would completely remove him from this equation, because if you went down this route, right, if you went down this path where you said, I'm going to take a project at tackle who might not be ready to go in year one, who might go through some growing pains throughout his rookie season, but I'm doing this partly because I want Tyler Smith to stay at the position that he played the best football at, which would be left guard for him, then I would completely forget about giving Tyler Smith left tackle reps this offseason. But then who is getting those reps? And my question comes down to, is it Matt Waletzko who is getting those reps behind Tyler Guyton, or maybe even in front of Tyler Guyton to begin the offseason? Is it Azim Richards on his second year, who was drafted out of North Carolina? Is it, I don't know, Chuma Edoga maybe getting another shot at playing left tackle? Is Josh Ball going to surprise us? He won't. We kind of know he won't. Or maybe a second-year UDFA that we'll talk about later on the show. But I want to see who else is getting those reps at left tackle. And specifically also, how are the Cowboys going about this thing? Because last year it appeared like they didn't really have a swing tackle. They instead had a backup for the right side and a backup for the left side. Is that going to be the philosophy once again going into 2024? OTAs might provide, again, a preliminary answer on that front, but I want to see who is that next to Guyton or even in front of Guyton guy that is getting those reps early on in the offseason, because I don't think we have a clear-cut answer to that yet. Richards was a different player as a rookie, right? He got a full year of development. How much they value him, we will find out. And I think Richards and Waletzko are the two guys that I am mostly intrigued about. Cannot wait to find out some answers on that front. Now, third question here that we're going to get into actually relates to some of these guys, because I've already talked about Waletzko. I am wondering if Earl Bostic Jr. can be the surprise. I've talked about him a lot here on the show. I'm wondering if he can pop out of nowhere, and when we get to July, maybe we see him as a guaranteed roster member. Earl Bostic Jr., some context for those of you who are unfamiliar with his game. He was a UDFA in 2023. He was one of the top 10 highest paid guys in UDFA across the entire league in 2023. So it's somebody that I just cannot ignore. I don't think he will be making a lot of the early roster projections. He didn't even make mine, but he is somebody that I could see the Cowboys kind of like keeping it low key, right? Maybe not talking about him a whole lot. But the thing with Bostic is he's got the arm length. He's got the athleticism. His big issue from day one was he needs to add some strength. He needs to hit the gym. He needs to get ready for an NFL game day. And maybe the Cowboys from the start knew that it was going to take some time. But Bostic Jr., I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up pushing Waletzko or Josh Ball or somebody else out of the 53-man roster and him being a part of it. So if that is the case, though, I kind of think that the Cowboys will need to tip their hand a little bit starting on OTAs, starting in minicamp. Again, no live contact is allowed, so maybe we're making it a bigger deal than it is. But if Bostic is seeing some second-team reps at left tackle, man, that is something that will kind of like perk my ears up a little bit and be like, okay, what is going on with that? So Earl Bostic, sure, on the picture, I've got Waletzko, but this goes for Josh Ball. It goes for Azim Richards. It goes for Chuma Edoga. Is Bostic Jr. getting reps in front of some of these guys, and how much, right? I want to find out about Earl Bostic Jr., and maybe training camp will be much bigger for him, but he's somebody that I'm thinking about even in May right now. Now, I've already mentioned Chuma Edoga, and that is my last question of this show. Edoga, hey, whether fans criticize him or not, he was on the 53-man roster last year. My big question with him, though, going into 2024 is, what are the Cowboys thinking exactly with him? Is he going to get another shot at playing tackle? And that would tie back into the Guyton conversation that we just had, the Earl Bostic Jr. conversation that we just had. Or is he going to be looked at exclusively at guard, where he was somewhat decent, I guess, last year? I think that when we saw Edoga at his worst, it was in that Miami game when he was playing, protecting Dak Prescott's blind side and missing on assignments and just communication stuff, where the Cowboys had free rushers en route to number 4, taking him to the ground, all that. But if Edoga plays inside, maybe it isn't all bad. But then again, you do have TJ Voss waiting in the wings. You do have Nate Thomas. So what is Edoga's role? Because he's going to need one, and a specific one, I will say, in order to make the 53. And the problem with that is that if he's a versatile guy, sure, he could make the team just because of that. But is he just going to be a guard? Wouldn't you rather have Nathan Thomas there, who has some upside and who is a little bit of a mauler, right? He's a 7th-round draft pick. I don't want to hype him up or anything like that, but I think Edoga is not a roster lock, and us finding out what his role is in OTAs could help us determine what his job security looks like. I don't know what would help him the most. Have a specific role or have that tackle guard flexibility, because I don't think you want him at tackle, like, period. I don't think you want that in 2024. So his best shot at making the team might be separating himself from Nathan Thomas and some of the other guys that could be playing guard in 2024. He likely is rooting for Cooper Beebe to start at center, because if Hoffman starts at center, then he's automatically behind TJ Voss, behind Cooper Beebe, right? But want to find out what is the thinking right now with Chuma Edoga. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for tuning into the show. Hit the like button. Stick around the channel for more Cowboys content, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.